Hello?
What's your favorite scary movie?
All right, it's time. Let's do it. A review for my favorite horror movie franchise, Scream. Let's do it. What's going on, Fresh Takers? I am your host, Kyler. Welcome back to the Fresh Take Cinema Show. I'm very excited for this episode. This is, like I said, my favorite horror movie franchise. I grew up on the movies as a kid. I know it's kind of weird, but I was a 90s kid. My mom was the person who exposed me to Scream, so kind of holds dear to my heart. So really excited to review this episode. I do want to start by saying going to be some spoiler alerts, so please go watch the movie first and then come back here. Just so you guys know, my reviews are set up, spoilers included. All right, so if you guys enjoy watching my reviews, I really appreciate it. Definitely want you guys to come back, but you got to go watch the movies first, and then I'll give my take. My reviews are for after. You can kind of compare how you felt about the movie, with my opinion. So just wanted to make sure you guys are aware. I do spoilers. All right. So let's get into it with, just right from the start. I was very, very, very excited to see how this played out. So I was curious as to why they didn't call it Scream 5, which I was trying to figure out. So the movie, once you watch the movie, it does kind of explain for itself why they didn't call it Scream 5. But the genius of how they did this movie is why I say this is not only my favorite horror movie franchise, but stands the test of time more than any other scary movie franchise. And I'm not really knocking the other horror movie franchises, but the whodunit type of style that Scream brings, every Scream has literally had a different person behind the ghost face mask. So the fact that that is something that they take an approach of makes it really different. Makes it fun. If you sit there, I sat there like I always do watching Scream movies, trying to pick out who in the movie is, behind the mask. And to be honest, once again, just like Scream 4, and you guys definitely need to watch all the Screams. They're absolutely worth it. Just like the previous Scream, I really did not see it coming as far as who it was. And so let me just go to the beginning. I'm just gonna go to the beginning. I'm getting ahead of myself because I love this. I love this movie. So I love how once again it started out with tradition. How the Scream movies starts out with one female victim having a conversation with Ghostface. He's asking questions about, what's your favorite scary movie, and asking questions about Stab. So basically in Scream, if you have not seen any previous Screams, which is just ridiculous, if you have not seen any previous Screams, in the movie, they have based what's happened with Sydney and everyone in Woodsboro. They have turned those real life stories to them into movies. So it's kind of like it's weird. It's like a famous movie within this movie about this movie. So I really love how they stick with the tradition in the beginning, but there was a different twist to it. So normally with the Screams, you do have the first victim. It starts in the beginning. Ghostface kind of toys with them and then ends up killing them, and that's kind of how the movie starts. But the tone for this one was different because the victim actually survives. They survive. They end up in the hospital. You learn to find out that it is the sister of the main character, Sam. And forgive me, I'm not going to remember everybody's name. I know I should, but hey, I was just super excited, and everybody gets killed off so fast. You're just like, okay. I don't know. So it actually is the sister of the main character. So she gets a call that basically her sister was attacked. She's in the hospital, so she ends up coming back to Woodsboro. And you're curious as to, why is she the main character? Like, are they trying to just set up another Sydney, or like, what is going on here? So, what I like is the main character has a secret. Sydney really, outside of her, like the stuff that went on with her mom and stuff, which really wasn't after a while wasn't a secret anymore. I like how they did this main character. Like, this main character had a secret, and it was, intriguing. Like, what's going on? But basically, Sam, the main character, rides in Woodsboro, and you see something shocking when she's at the hospital that you did not see coming. Like, you don't see coming. I didn't see it coming at all. But basically, Billy Loomis, like the ghost of Billy Loomis, like, what? Like, I was like, wait a minute. Why? Wait, Billy Lewis is in this movie? I was so happy to see that he was in this version. And you're kind of like, why is she having visions of Billy Loomis? And from there, it basically kicks off to, well, now who's the suspect, and, who done it. And you kind of start to try to figure out, what's going on with the main character? Like, why is it important for, why is it important for her to return? And then after a couple more kills, which I really did like how, the kills were more vicious. My thing is, if we're gonna, continue Scream, and I'm all for it, make sure the kills are different. Keep us intrigued. I know that sounds crazy, like we're like rooting for killing here. It's weird. But, as a horror movie franchise, you do want to make sure that it's not stale. And in this one, they did a really good job with the murders and everything, that the kills didn't seem the same. And I love how everything's intentional in this movie. So the kills were different. It almost felt like all gloves were off in this movie. And I really enjoyed how they really attacked the toxic fandom that we have come to know nowadays, and that's kind of the approach of the movie. So basically, and guys, forgive me, I'm jumping over, but I'm telling you, I was so excited to watch this, and I was just so happy and impressed that I can't contain my excitement. So you guys gotta forgive me. But how toxic that fans can become now, especially with, if there's a certain director, a certain actor cast for a franchise that they love, or something that's really, loved by fans, they really get toxic with, petitions and threats and all sorts of stuff. And I like that Scream took that and used it as kind of the driving force for the killers. So the killers ended up being Sam's boyfriend and ended up being her sister's best friend, which, it's kind. I mean, like, I kind of didn't see it coming, to be honest. I didn't see the boyfriend because I just like it really did throw me off, because I'm like, what would be his motivation? And then the best friend, I kind of was like, maybe. The only reason I didn't know if it was her or not was because a lot of the Ghostface scenes, when Ghostface is fighting, you hear a male grunting. Like when he gets pushed or he gets kicked or something like that, you hear a male grunt. So I really didn't see that coming as far as it being her. To be honest, and you guys tell me what you think, I really thought it would be Sam and her sisters. You know, they called him Dad, but really it wasn't Sam's dad because Billy Loomis ended up being her father, which was just I was like, what? Oh, Billy Loomis had a daughter in high school and nobody knew about it. Like I thought that was genius writing. Like how to try to think of ways to continue the story, and they did it to where it wasn't on the backs of Sydney, Gail, and Dewey all over again. I did like in Scream 4 that it was Sydney's cousin, that ended up being the killer. That was dope. So I really do give them kudos for that, for doing something different with Scream 4. But then this Scream, to do it to where Billy's already, he's a dead character. He died in the original. So it was like, okay, we don't really know a whole lot about the rest of the people in Woodsboro. So it's like, okay, well, Billy ends up having a kid with, somebody else in high school and nobody, because of what happened, what came out as Billy being psychotic, nobody knew. Like the mom kept it a complete secret, even though she put it in her journal. And, Sam eventually found out. I really thought that was a great move as far as the direction of the writing. But yeah, as far as the killers, I didn't see it coming, but I did like that they threw in when they went to, which I really love, Randy Meeks, his family, which is played by, I know his first name, Jamie, but I can't remember his last name. But basically, Randy, you guys from the original that gave all the rules about, serial killer movies and things like that. I love that his niece was kind of taking, on his role for this version. But I love how they threw that in when they all were at his sister's house, and they, Randy Meeks' sister's house, and they were talking about, who the suspects could be, what's their motive, and they talked about that toxic, fandom and how bad the previous Stab movie was, and they, fans were so upset by that, maybe this person, they basically, I love it. It's genius. They basically told you the plot, the motives, the intentions behind the killers, and because of a whodunit approach with Scream, you didn't know if they were really, BSing you, or if that really was what the intentions were for the people behind the Ghostface mask. And I really love that. Like it keeps Scream to me fresh. If I'm sitting there like, okay, is it this person? What's their motive? Is it this person? What's their motive? Or, maybe it is this person, or I didn't think about this person. Maybe it's them. Like you're sitting there the whole time, especially when the attacks happen. Like, okay, who was attacked? Who was there? Who did this? Who did that? And I really am okay with them, taking this further, doing more Screams with Sam being the main character, because they have shown that they can do this right. They can do this right. They can take it in another direction. I did like that, we did get to see Sydney. I love me some Sydney. I rock with Sydney heavy. R.I.P. to my guy Dewey. I just was devastated they killed Dewey. But they do Dewey so wrong. Like, Dewey's been stabbed, I think, in almost every Scream movie, and you just like, it's time. Like, this is it. They're calling it like this is going to be the end of Dewey, and then it's not. So when he gets stabbed, you're like, okay, maybe he'll survive. And they were like, curtain call. This is it for Dewey, and it just was devastating because he went out with him and Gail not being married anymore, not together, and he just was kind of a shell of himself and kind of sad about life and living in a trailer. And so you kind of wish Dewey went out on a higher note, but I really appreciate that Dewey's been around and given us great entertainment like he has. Shout out to David Arquette. But I love how, Dewey got his part. Gail got her part. Sydney got her part, but it wasn't. They really, honestly, if you try to do like a percentage of how much they were in the movie, they really weren't in the movie that much. And I love that because it was an attempt to pay homage to the original and not get so, and like they were saying, how some scary movie franchises or just franchises in general kind of go too far, and it does upset fans. Like, try to keep it to the base, but also, it's okay to try something new, but don't get crazy with it. And they talked about that in the movie with Stab. But also that's true in real life. Like, even for me as a fan, I'm not toxic, but that's kind of what happened with when they brought Star Wars back. Like, fans were like, oh, they better not mess up the original franchise, and they better not, if it's taking place after the original Star Wars movies that took place in the 70s and the 80s, they better not mess it up. And a lot of people felt like because whoever was in charge of the Star Wars films, like J.J. Abrams and Disney, they kind of gave us the same formula but different characters. Especially, The Force Awakens is basically A New Hope. It's the same movie, just a different decade. And I think that was because they were trying to not upset fans, and fans still ended up mad. But I love that Scream took that and actually flipped it. That it was like this movie was like a homage to the original, paying homage to the original, but being different. And kind of mocking the toxic fandom and mocking how some movie franchises or they try to do remakes and everything, and it can go overboard, or it could be too much, and how fans hate that. And so I love that they incorporated real life into the movie. So, my, my thing that I loved was some of the callbacks to the original, like the end scene, that last location they were in, it being the original house where, the end for Scream took place that was like, oh my God, like the nostalgia, the callback to that was amazing. I really thought the basement scene where she went for more beer, I thought she was going to die. She ended up being one of the killers, but I thought she was going to die like they did with old girl in the original with the garage door. I thought it was going to be that, because when she turned the light on, I was like, oh, it's about to happen. I love how Randy's niece dressed just like him. Like, she's an amazing actress. Like, I want to find out what else she plays in, because I absolutely loved her. And if they did another Scream, I need her to have more scenes, like, seriously. But I love that they, they didn't. I love how they didn't take the original and try to do it verbatim. It was more like a tribute to the original, and that was kind of the motive of, the killers. It was like, we're going to take it back to the original, we're going to do it our own way. I definitely applaud that. Definitely, because to me, taking real life, what's going on in real life with Hollywood and fans and movie franchises, taking that and also trying to keep your franchise, going and keeping it fresh, that's a huge task. There's a lot of people to keep happy, including me. So the fact that they were able to do all of that was awesome. Now, with all that being said, and, really loving what they did with the movie, I do have a couple of issues with the movie. I do have a couple of issues. First of all, I am trying to figure out how the sister who got attacked in the beginning, how she was able to sit up and talk in a hospital after the serious stab attack that she had in the beginning. Somebody explain that to me. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how the heck that happened, because the amount of times she was stabbed, where she was stabbed, I don't understand how she just is sitting up and talking. And like, to me, if I've been stabbed that many times in my stomach muscles, I can't even fathom that I could talk. Like, that just threw me off. I was just like, well, wait, what? So yeah, that definitely threw me off. And I felt like that was, for the sake of the movie, she got to be a little bit mobile. But I'm like, then don't, because basically her being attacked was to get Sam back to Woodsboro and basically get this whole thing started, get this whole thing kicked off. So my thing is, if I was a writer, I would have changed where she wasn't that brutally attacked. Like, if the goal was to not kill her, then, I wouldn't have stabbed her that much. But I mean, they absolutely, darn near gutted the poor girl. And I just don't understand how she was able to function the way she did in that hospital. I know she had joked before about, the more she gets attacked, the better drugs they give her. But I don't know if there's any drugs that will make you feel that great. The second thing is, I'm trying to figure out how you can just come in to a hospital and be slashing people left and right. And I mean, where's the rest of the patients? Like the hospital scenes were like, wait, what? I didn't see any other patients. You saw there were 2 attacks in the hospital. During the attacks, like, one, Sam was in a break room by herself. Okay, cool. But it's like, how does Ghostface get away? Like, how do you not? Oh, I was just thrown off by that one. And then the second one where Dewey gets killed, how does Ghostface shut down an entire hospital like that? Like, I didn't understand that. Like, there was one cop killed. There's literally one cop, and I get it. They killed the I think she was the deputy or whatever from Screen Force. She was the police officer. They killed her and her son. So I think, because she was on the force, a lot of the officers were there. But at the same time, one officer, I think there was a nurse or somebody killed. Like, where's the hospital cafe workers? Where's the rest of the hospital fam? Like, that part I did not understand. Like, I hate a lot of times hospital scenes, kind of agitate me with scary movies, because being in hospitals and how quiet it is, like, you can hear people screaming, to me, and there's always nurses and people in and out of rooms. I'm like, how does someone just come in and start slashing necks? And I've never understood that. I'm not really a huge fan of hospital scenes. I'm just going to be honest, because they never really, make sense. If you're watching a scary movie, you want it to be as real as possible if it's in that realm. Like a Scream, Michael Myers has kind of gotten crazy where dude's he got superpowers. He just can't die. But movies like Scream, or just has like a simple serial killer with no superpower, no powers or, anything like that. You want it to be as real as possible. And the fact that them hospital scenes in a lot of movies just don't feel real. And here I gotta knock Scream for it on this one, that they just didn't feel that real. My last thing, and this is my biggest thing that I just could not wrap my head around. Where in the Sam hell were the parents? Like, how does your daughter get attacked twice? Your youngest daughter gets attacked twice, and then your oldest daughter gets attacked a couple times, and you ain't nowhere to be found. I know they try to give a reason why she wasn't there, and fam, come on now, come on. Y'all could have done better. Y'all could have had it to where, the mom maybe showed up and she been tied up like Sydney's dad in the original or something like that. But no parents? Like, your daughter has been on the verge of death twice and you are nowhere to be found? Or the dad? Like, because I honestly, that's really what had me, because there were no parents for so long. And that was the other thing, they trying to do a memorial party at the end for Wes, one of the teenagers who got killed. That was the officer's son. He got killed. They did a memorial party for him. Like, if there have been murders to kids your kids' age, why are you letting them go to a party? This is why Woodsboro is constantly being the place for murder. Because these parents in Woodsboro are some of the dumbest parents I have ever seen in movies. Like, you don't see a lot of parents, and they just kind of let their kids go wherever they like. Like, they went to a pool hall. I'm like, y'all, there needs to be a lockdown, and y'all just letting y'all kids go wherever. I did not that part. I couldn't understand. I couldn't fathom, and I really did think that the because they had talked about when Sam found out that Billy Loomis was her father, she confronted her mother, and that the guy who she thought was her actual father overheard the conversation, and he left. He left Sam, their mom, and her sister. He just left. And I really thought he was the killer. I know he was not in the movie at all, but I thought there was a possibility he would have been at least one of the killers, if not the sole killer. So I don't even know the word, just appalled that there was no parents in this movie, and that I'm like, we didn't even get just a 30-second scene. Like, literally the only parent the only parent we got for these kids was Billy Loomis, really. I know the officer, but I'm just saying as far as Sam and her sister, like, the only parent we got was a dead ghost. Like, somebody please help me out here. So those were I'll say holes in the plot. I'll call them my holes in the plot. So as much as I really enjoyed watching this movie, and I was absolutely glued, and it's kind of funny now because that I do these reviews, I'm sitting there in the theater, and I got my phone, I got my notes on my phone. I'm trying to make notes of, stuff I see, and I make sure I don't forget it. And so I'm trying to be glued as best as possible. So I really did enjoy it, but I did have some holes in the plot that I'm like, I know for the sake of how they wrote the story, you don't, some of these things that's how it happens. But I was like, can we clean this up a little bit? Because I'm like, no parents at all? Like, none. Okay. All right, Woodsboro. That's how it is, I guess. So with that being said, I do want to go ahead and give my rating for Scream, and it's literally called Scream. It's not called Scream 5, and there's a reason they did that. It was, like I said, paying homage to the original, and I think they called it, just Scream, because it almost is kind of a new chapter. You see Sydney and Gail and Dewey kind of being that passing of the torch-ish role now, because Sydney's absolutely done with that life. Gail's done with that life. Dewey's no longer with us. So, I think this was a passing of the torch kind of movie. I believe I did see on IGN that they did actually, yes, they did get approved for another Scream movie. So they already before, I believe they decided that before it even this Scream came out. I think that's how confident they were and how well it was going to do. I definitely want to check the numbers, how well it did in the box office, because I honestly think this was top 3 as far as best Screams. So with that, I know I kind of went on a tangent, but with that, what I would like to do is I would like to rate this out of 10 ghost faces. So out of 10 ghost faces, I'm honestly going to give this, I'm going to give it a 9. 9 ghost faces out of 10. Now here's the thing. I was really floating between, I wanted to say like 8.7, but I was like, if it's an 8.7, I might as well give it a 9. I honestly was, of course, having the previous knowledge of the Screams that have come before. That does help, but that rating doesn't come because I'm biased to the Scream movie franchise. Even if this wasn't my favorite horror movie franchise, I honestly think they did an amazing job. Honestly, if I had to rank the top Scream movies, of course the original is going to be number 1. It has to be number 1. And then tied for second would be Scream 3 and this Scream. Scream 4 would be ranked 3rd or 4th, or however you want to look. And then Scream 2 was I don't want to say trash. It was the least best. Let's say it that way. I'm not going to say it was trash because I love Scream. I can literally watch all of them. But Jada Pinkett, that dramatic death was just too much. But I honestly rank it, top 2, top 3, because it was just that good. And as you just heard me say, they've already approved before it came out. They approved that it was going to be another one added to this. So I'm excited that they decided that, because I really did. After I got up and left the movie theater, I was like, I really liked Sam. I think the main character, I think she did a great job. I think this would be a really good character to take over from, Sydney being the main character, and I think honestly, because Sydney, Gale, and Dewey have done such a great job with the previous Screams, that it's like if they decided to move on, I'm absolutely okay with that. I'm not that toxic fan where it's like, no, if there's a Scream, they need to be in all of them. And I honestly, I probably wouldn't have liked it that much if it was about Sydney and I call them the big 3. If it was about the big 3 again, it's like, how many Screams does it take for them to, to not be the center of it? And I like that they weren't the center of it. They were just an added nostalgia piece. I like that. I felt like this was the time, because it's like, how many times can you keep going over the same thing? Like, I like that Sydney really wasn't the sole driving force for this. She was just a piece of their psychotic puzzle. So I'm really excited for what Scream does. I absolutely, when they come out with a new one, I'll be doing a review on that one too, because like I told you, I really love me some Scream. Out of all of the popular scary movie characters, Ghostface, and I get it. People are like, oh, it's always a different person under the mask, but it's still the movie franchise as a whole is better than a lot. Like, I felt like Nightmare on Elm Street kind of got too, and don't get me wrong, Freddy Krueger is entertaining, but it got too whimsical sometimes towards the end. Friday the 13th, it was like, okay, how many times is this man gonna die and be brought back to life in different ways? Like, that was kind of like, and then, with Halloween, they butchered that so bad that they basically, with the newer Halloweens, redid the timeline. And which is sad because one of my favorite Halloweens is Halloween H2O. And they completely scrapped that from the timeline. So this one to me holds up one of the best. I love me some Chucky, but they kind of need to let Chucky die. So this is absolutely up there with the top movie franchises as far as the horror genre. If you don't agree with me, fight me. I don't care. That's gonna be my review, guys. I really appreciate you bearing through this with me. To be honest, like I said, I just was so excited to have Scream back. I think Scream 4 came out 2011, 2012, so I was in high school. So now that another one has come out like a decade or so later, is awesome. 25 years of Scream, and I'm 28, be 29 in October, so it's been a part of my life for a long time. So I was kind of all over the place, and I apologize if that's a headache for some of you guys, but you gotta understand when you're talking, and you guys know when you talk about something exciting, you can kind of be all over the place a little bit. So I do apologize, but I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Scream. Once again, guys, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate every view I get, even if I get 5. I'm excited that, I'm entertaining somebody. So please subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you guys are okay with that. I definitely want you to know when, we have videos coming out. We do have now, I have a Instagram page now. I have an Instagram and a Facebook page. So I'm very excited. We're on social media now, so I will have those. I'll have the links for those in the description. Really want you guys to just grow with me. I really love you guys. You guys are my fresh takers. And give me ideas. Don't be afraid to hit me with a TV show. I really want to eventually get into a TV show. I'm trying to find the right one to pull the trigger on. Thought it was going to be Peacemaker, but I want to do one that's a little bit different, maybe a little bit more well known, but we'll see. So if you guys know some TV shows, throw me some suggestions. Reach out to me on social media. If you guys have a movie that you would love for me to do, even a retro review is gonna come back. Just trying to find the right movies, retro movies to review. So it's the rule with retro review. If you guys are gonna send me a movie, has to be over 2 years old. So retro review isn't for like movies from the 80s and the 90s. It's as long as it's basically a movie that we, of course, because the show didn't exist yet, that we couldn't review at the time it came out. So as long as it's 2 years or older, I will do a retro review for it, whether I've seen it or not. If I'm interested in it, I'll watch it. So when you guys give me those suggestions, just laying down the rules for it. Really want you guys to participate with that and be involved. So if you guys have any ideas, put it in the comments or reach out to me on social media. But I really love you guys for sticking with me and watching this video. Hope you guys like it, and I will catch you guys later. Don't forget, tell somebody you love them. See you guys.